Hello, everyone. Welcome back to Gaming News, where we discuss all things within the gaming industry. Today, we have a bit of a doozy for you, and thanks to Vale for alerting me to more issues continuing with one of the topics, as it is something that we have covered previously, but there is obviously new information about it, so we are going to talk about that. And following that, we are going to cover the other favorite topic of these videos, which is Activision Blizzard. So, we're just going to get right into it. So, first up, we're going to talk about Amazon Games and New World. And New World, obviously, is an MMORPG that has everyone craving for something exciting. A lot of people who are in the MMO space have jumped to a variety of different MMOs, and when New World came out, a lot of people were really excited to get something fresh and different and exciting. And this is what New World was basically supposed to be, was something new and exciting in the MMO genre. Now, New World has had a number of issues since its inception. First of all, the biggest issue that has spawned actually a number of other issues is the fact that the text box is allowing users to put in bits of HTML coding to allow players to see what looks to be an image but is actually directing you to a website which can lead to your computer having malware on it. And so basically there are a number of different ways that other players are screwing over the general populace in not only general chat but in whisper chat, because they're just able to do this coding and allow chaos to ensue. Now, there are a few YouTubers and a few content creators and influencers, if you will, who have made Amazon Games aware of the fact that their game is broken, extremely broken. And what disturbs me and some of these other content creators is the fact that the forums ask you for basically publicly reporting all of the information that you have about your computer and its specifications, and also they want to know how you duplicated the bug or the exploit directly in the forums. This is, look, if you are going on to a website or something like Bleeping Computer where there's something wrong with your computer, maybe you have malware, they're able to look through the logs and they will request that you upload the logs, and trusted volunteers will go through those logs and help you get rid of the malware or the malicious software that you have on your PC. That is one thing. When it comes to game reporting, you also have to consider your own privacy. And if you're not only telling people what your full computer specs are and whatnot, but you're also explaining how to duplicate the bugs that broke the game in the first place to the public, that means the public can turn around and look at how to duplicate the same thing and do it themselves. Now, this has caused a massive issue just in the fact that the forums are where they want you to report the bugs and explain exactly how. I will link a video that explains all of this, by the way. And then furthermore, not only can you use images effectively to redirect to malicious websites, but there's ways you can code the game in such a way that it crashes people's client because the client is trying to do something. So bring up a bit of information and it causes the game to go, well, this thing isn't really here. We're trying to verify it. It can't verify. It runs into this crazy loop and then it crashes you out of the game, and it's ruining the experience for a lot of people. But there's more. You could also run the game in pause mode by making it windowed, and you could drag the screen around your Windows desktop, and that would effectively pause the game, which would also make you invincible. Again, I have a video that explains this in more detail that you can go and take a look at. And then the auction house, in certain cases, because of other HTML coding that people have been using, have found a way to essentially redirect or take people's gold in game. So there are certain circumstances where people found that they went to try and sell something on the auction house. The auction house would take the item even if you didn't have enough for the listing fee, but it wouldn't give you the money as though it were sold. And normally that is kind of part of the transaction that needs to happen for an auction house to work properly. This led to a whole bunch of people getting gypped out of money. Now, in order for the people to use these gold glitches, Amazon Games have gone around and started banning people that they believe are using the gold duping techniques. And they've slapped on a cute little fix when it comes to the images. And now, what is happening is, to escape getting screwed over by Amazon Games, a lot of these people have been going to the auction house and buying everything, literally everything, screwing over the economy. And they're turning around and sending millions of gold to new players at random, so that it makes it harder for the developers to find out who is actually doing the duping and who is actually responsible. And this just continues to get worse and worse, because that is just what happened up to a couple of days ago. And now, of course, Amazon is sort of trying to fix it, because I have a couple of articles to show you about the issue. New World has disabled trading to prevent gold duping and ban exploiters. And this just gets more ridiculous. One of the most notorious and game-breaking glitches to date consists of duplicating gold and legendary materials, which has been breaking the economy for the last month. So obviously this has been going on for quite some time, and clearly listed on the forums. However, now that Amazon became aware of what's going on, it decided to take action by disabling all forms of wealth transfer between players in order to prevent future issues. This means that the trading posts are currently inaccessible, or rather, New World players can only browse the goods without putting anything up for sale or being able to buy anything. The same holds true for one-on-one trades between players, effectively blocking all forms of trade, and there is no current ETA for when things are going back to normal. Now, Amazon Game Studio tried to sort of slough it over by saying we are aware of the possible gold duplication exploit. Like, they're not sure if this is actually the case. Like, the possible gold duplication exploit seems a little ridiculous, in my opinion. So they are temporarily disabling all forms of wealth transfer between players, i.e., sending currency, guild treasury, trading post, and player-to-player trading. And any player that has engaged in the use of this exploit will be actioned against. Once the gold duplication exploit has been investigated and we are ready to turn on wealth transfer again, we will update this post. Thank you for understanding. And this feels a little more ridiculous because Amazon is also issuing permanent bans against players who cheated in the past month by purposefully duping gold or legendary materials for profit. This zero tolerance policy is actually a very good thing for New World, as it shows that Amazon will enforce more bans for equally severe exploits in the future once the dust settles. I actually disagree with the poster on Game Rant in this particular case, because while you think that enforcing a zero tolerance policy helps, the fact that gold duplication in MMOs, one, is not a new concept, but two, I don't actually see this as a good thing, as there are many people who have not been involved in any of this and somehow are being targeted. Maybe they accepted the gift, or maybe they had someone send them a whisper that redirected them to, do this, that, or the other thing, and therefore it's putting a lot of these new players at risk while they're just trying to enjoy the game. And at this point, I really don't feel like just banning players right now is going to do anything, when we've also seen the fact that New World is kind of responsible for learning about hardware issues for the GPUs that we saw with like the 30 series cards. New World has obviously brought a ton of issues, and it continues to get worse as time goes on. And on the official forums, they did state that due to the increase of bots, gold sellers, and ban evaders, we have decided to disable family sharing. This decision was not taken lightly, and for players who utilize family sharing for valid reasons, we will update this post with instructions for assistance. Personally, I feel like this is a way for Amazon to cover their ass, because if you're allowing the client, if you're allowing the users to be able to input HTML coding or some kind of coding into chat, which is breaking your game, you kind of need to go back to the drawing board. And this game really should not have released in the state that it's in. And personally, whoever the people who did the original coding and thought this would be good and didn't learn from the past mistakes of Blizzard with World of Warcraft when they had some similar issues, then you kind of need to fire those staff. There are a lot of bad actors that play MMOs that will screw over people at every chance that they get, and this is what makes people very toxic in the gaming industry, is they just want to play the game, and people are coming in and destroying their experience. Of course they're gonna be anti new rando who wants to join a group, because who knows what bullshit they're going to pull, or if they know what they're doing, or anything like that. So, I don't know, New World is in a really bad state right now. It continues to get worse, and my advice would be, don't play the game in its current state. If you can't trade, you can't use the auction house, and all you can do is effectively window shop, on top of the issues with PvP and stream sniping and anything that sort of happens with those particular things. Honestly, I would just, shelve New World for a while and see if Amazon does something, because right now it just seems like they're doing the bare minimum, and I don't feel like this game is going to go far if they continue down this particular path. Especially because they have public forums that expect you to outline exactly how much people can do with this malicious coding and potentially just screw over new player experiences. Next up, we're going to talk a little bit about Activision Blizzard. Now, I have slightly less to talk about this time for Activision Blizzard, but there is still news that is worth considering with this particular topic, and it just seems like Activision Blizzard cannot get a break, and I'm oddly not surprised. And I mean, I did say that it sounded like they were going to try and really make things work and try and survive this mass lawsuit debacle, but they're going to do it with less people, and they are going to do it with less content. So, first, we have to talk about the fact that Jennifer ONeil is going to leave Blizzard. This is important because she used to be the studio head of Vicarious Visions. Now, as we talked about last week, Vicarious Visions merged with Activision Blizzard back in January and has actually had a good relationship with Blizzard Entertainment for several years. And they last week announced the fact that they were going to be changing their name and that there were people who were being reshuffled or possibly leaving the company due to a multitude of things. This has actually led to the stock prices of Activision Blizzard's dropping substantially. So let's go a little bit into that. So Jennifer ONeil announces departure from Blizzard Entertainment. Activision pledges 1 million to women in games internet. So she addresses the community directly through Wowhead, saying over the last few months, many of us have been taking the time to ask ourselves how we can affect the most positive change in our workplace, in our games, and in our community. And she goes on to explain the role and the vision that Mike Ibarra and herself had when they took on the role as co-leaders. And she then, goes on to say, I want you to hear from me personally that I have made the decision to step away from co-leading Blizzard Entertainment and will transition to a new position before departing at the end of the year. Effective immediately, Mike Ybarra will lead Blizzard. I am doing this not because I am without hope for Blizzard. Quite the opposite. I'm inspired by the passion of everyone here, working towards meaningful, lasting change with their whole hearts. This energy has inspired me to step out and explore how I can do more to have games and diversity intersect, and hopefully make a broader industry impact that will benefit Blizzard and other studios as well. While I am not totally sure what form that will take, I'm excited to embark on a new journey to find out. I don't know about you, this seems very off to me because if you're fighting lawsuits where you don't have equal pay for men and women and other genders as part of your company, and you also have massive allegations of sexual harassment, and then you appoint two people to lead the company and the female of the two decides to conveniently leave only after a couple of months feels very strange to me because she wanted to help elevate the company, but I feel like maybe more information is out there that she has maybe discovered in her time at the top that maybe pushed her out of the company. And this is why it just feels a little bit off. You're once again allowing Activision Blizzard to have a singular male head without more input from women, but yet you want to help have more diversity in the industry. It just feels weird, you know? Anyways, the ABK's leadership is graciously offering their support for my decision and has worked with me on a plan to invest in the future of other women in the gaming industry by agreeing to make a US $1 million grant to Women in Games International, a fantastic nonprofit organization where I am a board member that cultivates and advances equality and diversity in the global games industry. This money will be used to fund skill building and mentorship programs. Now, as I said, I feel like this is a little bit off because if you're going to affect change, I have previously talked about the fact that you need to do it from inside. And if Activision Blizzard is already getting rid of a lot of staff that are perpetuating a toxic environment, that now would be the perfect time for women like Jennifer O'Neill to step in and to have substantial changes. Working with the Women in Games International is fantastic, and I think that she will do amazing things with the nonprofit. But I feel like if she was able to step into the role at Blizzard and help be part of the massive change that would have to happen, and for Activision Blizzard to get rid of that negative press, that would have been more impressive, I think, than stepping down because of the difficulties, perhaps, and going with a nonprofit organization that, yes, will definitely help change the industry. But again, I just feel like this was a very strange step, and I'm still not sure how I feel about this just because of that. Now, if you disagree, that's fine. Let me know how you feel about that, because it's definitely something that I'd like the opinions of other people to know. Like, do you feel the same, that this feels off or not? But then going on with that, I talked about the stock pricing going substantially down, and it is the worst from the last 13 years of Activision Blizzard stock pricing. And with stock pricing, you're always going to have the ebbs and flows. You're going to have the ups and downs. And they said a couple of things. I skipped over a bunch of the technical stuff in here, but Activision Blizzard Incorporated shares plummeted Wednesday after the video game publisher said two of its anticipated game releases would be delayed as the company seeks to right its ship following allegations of sexual harassment and discrimination, causing analysts to downgrade the stock. Now, they go into statistics of other companies and whatnot, and I highlighted a few more points in this, which was Morgan Stanley analyst Brian Newark downgraded Activision Blizzard stock to equal weight from overweight and slashed his price target to $65 from $120 per share, by the way. So if you're looking to buy 1,000 shares, then you obviously multiply it by the share price. And that the price for stock at the end of day each day will determine whether or not you've made a profit or a loss on that stock, right? And the idea in investing is to buy low and sell high. But the only reason he didn't downgrade the stock to underweight is that Activision Blizzard still has strong franchises and that the anticipated games are still coming at some point. I will address the underweight being in red in a moment. But MKM Partners analyst Eric Handler downgraded Activision Blizzard to neutral from buy and cut his price target from $75 from $108. He also said he's not convinced all the bad news is out. And that is a very key statement to make when it comes to investor opinion about how a company is doing. And the reason why I highlighted overweight and underweight in that sentence is because that is obviously a specific investing term. And I want to make sure that people understand what that means. Overweight and underweight are performance predictions. It's an indication of how analysts think the stock will do in the foreseeable future. And typically, an overweight or an underweight designation refers to performance over the next 12 months. So, with that, if a stock is given underweight for performance, it means that it's a stock you should sell, and that they also recommend you don't buy that stock because it means that you're not going to make money on it. If it's a stock that goes down and it continually goes down, you might be looking at a substantial loss depending on how many stocks you bought, and also you have to consider the purchase price of that stock. Now, I only know this in a rudimentary fashion, and I was looking at doing more with investing and whatnot than before. And it's important to understand how money works, how investing works, how the stock market works, how things can work for you and against you. And I felt it was important to talk about the significance of the statement that Morgan Stanley analyst Brian Newark said the only reason he didn't downgrade it to underweight is because there are still franchises that are popular enough that could still re-elevate Activision Blizzard's stock price back in the positives. If they didn't have the popularity of certain franchises, then it definitely would have been an underweighted stock. Get rid of it before you lose substantially more money. So it's very important to understand why this is significant. We'll just have to keep an eye out on what happens in the saga of Activision Blizzard moving forward. But once again, I don't feel like it's done. I feel like there's still a lot more to come out of this, and we still have to wait for the results on the lawsuits and see if Activision Blizzard has done enough to right the wrongs that it has committed for several years. So we'll just have to wait and see. And with that, thank you so much for being part of Patreon. I do these videos every single week. Don't forget to check out the surveys listed in Discord. I want to know what kinds of content you want to see because I'd like to update my Patreon to be one tier instead of two separate tier tracks. So let me know what you think about the content and what you'd like to see me add. And with that, you guys have a fantastic day, and I will see you in the next video.